Hi everybody, this is Chic. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a highly requested video tutorial where I'm going to share with you how I made the Teacup pincushion that's been spotted in my craft room tour. This is not an original idea. This is something that I saw someone receive as a gift months ago here on YouTube, and I immediately started hunting down how to make one for myself. There are a few tutorials out there already, but since it's been requested that I show how I made mine, I'm excited to share this simple DIY just in time for Mother's Day. The first item you're going to need is a teacup, of course. It typically isn't too difficult to find these at your local Goodwill or thrift store, antique mall, or flea market. If you prefer something more modern and don't want to go the vintage route, they are typically found at stores like TJ Maxx or Marshall's as well. You're going to need some stuffing. This polyfill I picked up at Hobby Lobby in the fabric department. Next, you're going to need to choose the fabric that you want to use on your pincushion. I've decided that I'm going to use this vintage piece, and I feel like I'm cheating a little bit because it's already round in shape. I am just going to cut off the trim along the edge so it isn't wasted and I can use it later in the project. As long as the fabric is rather sturdy, you have many different options that you can use here. This is an old linen napkin that I had on hand. I really like this piece because it has this really pretty design here in the center. This is just a plain white linen napkin. Another option you have is layering the fabric you choose with something like the doily I am showing here. This is a lady's vintage handkerchief, another pretty option. And last but not least, any pretty piece of fabric that you might have on hand already. You're also going to need some trim to glue around the rim of the cup. I decided since I'm going to cut off this pretty pink lace, I will use that for my project. These are a couple of the other trims I am considering for use. I like the look of using the pearl lace on top of this colorful trim. Pretty. You're going to need a hot glue gun, possibly a measuring tape, some scissors. I've decided to use embroidery floss to do the stitching in my linen fabric. I like the heavy-duty strength of this floss. If you're going to use a thread, just make sure it's very strong. Because I am using embroidery floss, I am using this larger size needle as well. And then for the finishing touches, you're going to need to pick out some pretty flowers to decorate the top of your pincushion. You can find these flowers in the floral department, of course, but don't forget about the pretty paper flowers in the scrapbooking section as well. Alright, now that we have everything we need, let's jump into the project. First, I'm going to size up this piece of fabric that I have and make sure that it's going to fit. Placing the cup upside down in the center gives me a pretty good idea in the size of circle I'm going to end up with, and I decide to use this piece of fabric. The next thing I'm going to do is cut off this lace trim around the outside and save it for a later step. I decided to just do some double checking with the size of my circle here and just make sure it's going to be large enough for my pincushion. Better to be safe than sorry. I decided to just measure my circle here for you, and it's about 8 1/4 inches. I will say after I completed this project, I would have preferred it to be just a little larger. I would say anywhere between 8 1/4 inches to 9 inches. I wouldn't go any smaller or larger than that. Something that would work great for a stencil is a smaller size dinner plate if you're someone like me who doesn't have a circle stencil on hand. Okay, so now I'm going to thread my needle and get started. You will see here that I separate my floss. Don't do this. This was a mistake, and I actually had my thread snap later on. Leave it as one piece, thread your needle, and then stitch around the project as shown here. Make sure you leave a few inches free at the beginning of your stitching. That will be important in a few minutes. Just up and down about 1/4 inch from the edge of your project. Make sure that you have a piece of thread that is plenty long enough. It needs to be one solid piece so you can pull both ends and draw your circle closed. The only other thing you need to pay attention to here is making sure that the tail you leave at the beginning of your stitching and the end of your stitching are both lying on the same side of your fabric. This is so you can create a drawstring of sorts. Now that you've stitched all the way around your circle, you're going to pull the two ends of your thread and draw it closed. I'm sorry my video had cut out here and I missed that little segment, but I promise it's very straightforward and simple. Stitch and pull like a drawstring. Once you have a little pouch, then you are just going to start filling it with stuffing until you have your desired size and shape. Keep playing around with the stuffing and checking the size of your poof in your cup. Your eye is your best judge here. Once you have your desired thickness, just tie it off and trim your thread. You can see that I knotted my thread here. Once I was really close with my stuffing, that gave me a nice tight circle so I could finish filling the cushion with stuffing to my likeness. Now that we have a nice fluffy cushion, we're just going to glue it in place. Take your hot glue gun and add a string of glue to the inside of your cup, all along the sides of your teacup. Keeping it on the sides will make sure that the cushion stays in place. Just try to work quick enough here so your glue doesn't dry. Then add your cushion. Now I'm just going to take my lace and trims and glue them around the cushion. On top of the cushion itself, but really close to the lip of the cup so it hides the gap between the pincushion and the teacup. Work in small sections with your hot glue so you can make sure that you're gluing your trims down evenly and in a nice circle. I also like to begin and end with my trim next to the handle of the cup. If the seam is right next to the little handle, it just gives it a nice polished look. Now for the icing on the cake, the best part of the entire project, adding the flowers to the top of the pincushion. This is my favorite part because it's the most creative. Think about the colors you want to draw out of whatever print and colors are in your teacup and try to make your flowers blend. Always remember that when working with flowers, you want to work with odd numbers. It just gives your bouquet a more polished look. Also, don't be afraid to use some of the leaves as well. Decide on the cup where you want your cluster to be, next to the handle or opposite. Also think about the fact that there is a front side and a back side to your pincushion. Try to build your flower cluster from the angle that will be facing out as it sits on your desk. Most of all, have fun. Like I said, this is the best part. And now we finally get to glue our cup down to our saucer. You don't have to do this step, but I do feel that securing the two pieces together makes the piece a little more stable and maybe a little safer as it sits in your home. Now for a little bonus, I will show you how I created the pins that I have in my pincushion. These long stick pins, for those of you that don't know, are called hat pins. They are a few inches longer than a regular corsage pin. I bought mine on Amazon for around $6 a dozen. I am also going to decorate a corsage pin to show you the size difference. To create these, you are going to need a small variety of beads, maybe some spacers and bead caps as well, to just give the pin a more polished look. Again, this is the creative step, so just have fun with it. I also add just a drop of hot glue to where the last bead touches the pin, so everything stays in place. So that is all it takes to create this beautiful little teacup pincushion and pins. Such a pretty addition to any feminine space. And remember, this also makes a great gift for a special someone in your life. And if you stuck around and made it to the end of this video, congratulations! I'm going to be giving away both of the pincushions that you see pictured here. I just want to give a big thank you to all of you that make my channel successful, continue to grow, and are just so stinking wonderful to me. I just love you guys. I will keep this giveaway open for 48 hours. Just comment down below and tell me if you love coffee or if you love tea. Try not to mention giveaway in your comments because I want this to be for those of you that stuck around. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. It helps others find my videos as well. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!